Greetings, fellow true believers. Tiki here.
And BlueDragonFive.
And folks, over the course of this last week, I went to go somewhere very special, deep in the heart of San Diego. One could say it's a nerd culture mecca. That's right, Dragon. I got the honor of visiting the San Diego Comic Con Museum. Do you think I'd actually ever go to San Diego Comic Con? Fuck no. Never in a million years. But yeah, Dragon, this museum is right in the heart of Balboa Park. It's actually relatively close to the Citizen Kane Tower, the tower where they shot all the Xanadu exterior shots. And I gotta tell you, I had a really good time at this place. This place ended up being one of the big highlights for me, and I saw so much cool shit in here that I felt like we needed to do a little trip report about it. So, Dragon, do you know anything about this establishment at all whatsoever?
Not really, no.
Not really. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
I mean, I know what San Diego Comic Con is, obviously, but
Obviously.
I didn't know we had a museum somewhere all about it.
Okay. Well, yeah. Let's see.
I know there's
Kogios.
Giuseppe's Pop Culture Museum near the Baltimore Comic Con, but that's no longer around. It's no longer a thing anymore.
Kogias says, I'm glad you had a really enjoyable time. Yeah, I did, Kogias. It was actually the best trip I've had in a while. Dragon, before we dive into the museum, I'm curious, and I'm sure the answer is probably going to be no, but I did a lot of other shit when I was in San Diego. I did SeaWorld, I did Legoland, I did the San Diego Zoo. Those were probably the big three that may or may not be a point of interest for you. Obviously, I won't spend a ton of time on them, but is there anything from any of those locations that you would like to hear about?
Anything good with Legoland?
Legoland was a really interesting park. The one thing I can say about Legoland, Dragon, is if I was like 10 years old going to that park for the first time, it would literally be heaven, Dragon. I mean, I could just die right there. I mean, it's like I can't imagine how cool that place is for its actual intended age demographic. There was a Soarin' Over California style Lego movie ride, which was pretty cool. The downside with that though is that the outdoor queue was not great, not Disney quality at all. Kind of took away from the whole experience. But yeah, definitely great to see Legoland. You know, it was actually the very last major California theme park that I had to check off my list. So yeah, all right, and I assume that's about it.
Were there minifigs as far as the eye can see?
Well, you know what's interesting? Do you know about Miniland USA?
No.
So that's the area that I believe is in every Legoland park, where basically what they'll do is it's in the center of the parks, and it's just this big area where you just explore all these different recreations of cities in Lego form. So in San Diego, they had, like, of course, San Diego itself. They had Las Vegas. They had New York. Those are like the big three that I can think of. Also Washington, D.C. The really interesting thing about it, though, is that as far as the scale goes, no actual minifigures in Miniland USA. They use these weird kind of like scaled up version of Lego humans. And I gotta tell you, like, I love seeing the actual, like, you know, like atmosphere and cityscapes brought to life in Lego form. Vegas in particular was especially cool. But yeah, the lack of minifigures, that was definitely a little on the weird side. All right. Let's see. Kogia says, I've never been to Comic Con. Certainly looks like a fun place. The actual San Diego Comic Con, Kogias, maybe it was a fun place back in the day, but for me, it's a very, very stressful place that I will never go to. All right. I'd certainly be interested in here, maybe the zoo in particular. All right, Dragon, since Monkey asked, I'm just going to tell you.
Okay, go on.
The San Diego Zoo is like, I mean, to say it's the best zoo I've ever been to is unfair. The San Diego Zoo had the best landscaping that I have ever seen in any location in my life, bar none. The place is so exploratory. My way that I describe that zoo is that you can't just go into that zoo and have the mindset of like, okay, we're gonna have a little tour and we're gonna go see the giraffes, then go see the elephants, then go see the polar bears. You can't approach the zoo like that because of the way it's laid out. The way that that zoo is laid out, basically what you have to do, to make a long story short, you can't tour the zoo. You have to let the zoo guide you. I mean, it is such an exploratory layout to that park. Exhibits are just bleeding into each other and crossing over into each other. I did see a red panda in the zoo, Dragon, so that was a highlight for sure. But anyways, we're not here to talk about the zoo. We're here to talk about some Comic Con museums. Okay. So, Dragon, we're going to approach it like follows. The museum is laid out in. Did you go to the Animation Academy exhibit? I did not know there was such a thing. In San Diego, zoo guides you. Indeed. Okay, and unlike Disneyland, Miniland has the little motorboats. Yes, they do. The
little motorboats.
And I will say, Monkey, Fairy Tale Brook and the City Cruise, whatever it's called, where you go around Miniland, both superior to the Storybook Land canal boats. Both of those attractions superior to the Storybook Land canal boats. Little Blue, like I said, I did not know the Animation Academy exhibit was a thing. Where is that? Was it somewhere in Balboa Park? Because I can tell you, we only got to a couple Balboa Park museums, including this one, because they are big museums. They take a lot of time to see. Anywho, so Dragon, this museum is laid out on 3 levels. When you enter, you are on the upper lobby, and you can go downstairs to the lower lobby or go upstairs to the second story. Essentially, the upper lobby is a rotating gallery where they have, different exhibits that kind of rotate in and out. This, when I went, we had what you see here, which is called Popology. Yesterday's fantasy is today's reality. We will discuss more depth in just a bit. On the bottom floor, Dragon, well, I'm just gonna wait and see what's on the bottom floor, Dragon, because it's kind of a surprise. It's kind of the whole reason I wanted to do that. So we'll build to that. And then on the top floor, if I were to guess, I would say it's another rotating gallery, but instead of being like full-blown museum exhibits with like artifacts and stuff, it's mostly a rotating art gallery. So for example, when I went up there was a tribute to Cowboy Bebop and also a very extensive tribute to Neil Gaiman's art, which we'll get into. So, so let's just dive right into it. So, Popology, yesterday's fantasy is today's reality. I gotta say, Dragon, when I entered this museum, it was about 4 p.m. I only had about an hour before it closed. So I was not very, I did not have the luxury of time, my friend. I could have spent a good hour just in this one level of the museum because there was a lot of cool shit in here and a lot of cool shit that I really didn't have time to linger on. But essentially the goal of this gallery, from what I understood, is that they're essentially displaying how the creative concepts found in pop culture through stuff like science fiction was able to inspire the actual reality of, like what today's modern technology looks like. And it also showcases different iconic figures in different mediums kind of meeting and interacting with each other. You see a lot of really cool autographs, like, for example, Steven Spielberg giving autographs to Ray Bradbury and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And so it was a really cool little exhibit to walk through. They had an animatronic, like a genuine Garner Holt animatronic that was very much like a mini Tom Arrow, if you've ever been to the Disneyland Innoventions. And I think he was putting on like a quiz show or something. I didn't really have time to really really watch it. But I also think, if I'm remembering correctly, there was just like a Donkey Kong cabinet in there, which I did play a round of for free. It was like you could just play it for free, so that was cool. So let's see. Let's see some of the stuff that we have to see here. Okay, so here you can see Stanley Kubrick. He's signing a signed photo to the man. I believe this is either Arthur Conan Doyle, who designed the book or wrote the book 2001, or I'm not exactly sure exactly who this is. It could be an astronaut. Again, I'm terribly sorry. I didn't really have time to study all this, but I did think it was just cool. Like, I'm afraid I can't do that, Professor Stanley Kubrick. So this guy, I don't know. He I believe that he is either an astronaut or like a NASA engineer or something in that realm that's kind of devoted to the science that inspired 2001. So this is kind of what I was talking about with like a bunch of famous people doing autographs to the actual like academic minds that inspired them, which I thought was really cool. Okay, here you can see
the Rocketeer.
Yeah, the Rocketeer kind of inspired some real world steampunk stuff, some jetpack designs. You see the Nautilus there too, kind of all under the steampunk realm.
Oh yeah.
This is kind of showcasing how stuff like E.T. and Contact paved the way for more realistic, down to earth sci-fi like The Martian. I thought that was kind of cool. Here we go. This is a big one. Do you recognize that autograph, Dragon?
I'm trying to recognize what the heck the autograph's on first, but
it's a car of some kind, and that is actually a hint as to who the autograph is.
I mean, it's not George Barris's autograph, is it?
No.
Okay, let's see. It's not George. I'm just trying to make out what the signature looks like. Oh, there you go. Bob Gurr. Oh, yes, for the yeah.
So that was a trip, Dragon, to see Bob Gurr in the Comic Con Museum. That was a delight. That was a delight.
He was an innovator.
He was. He absolutely was. Absolutely was. And the whole point of this exhibit is to kind of showcase how he was behind some of the more iconic pieces of futuristic technology that did exist in our world, like the monorail, even the phantom boats, which you see there. I believe the black and white boat that's next to his head is a phantom boat, which is the very, very short-lived motorboat attraction. Yes, they were also motorboats.
Little motorboat, Bob's. Tiki, it's Bob's little motorboat.
The phantom boats really were. I'm pretty sure he did the actual motorboats too, though. So
Bob made the little motorboats.
Oh my God! All right. Okay. So this stuff was really cool, Dragon. The Back to the Future stuff was a highlight for sure. You get the hoverboard, and then what I thought was even cooler, you get the self-lacing shoes. I love that.
God, why can't we have those?
Right.
And the blueprints. It's very nice.
Right. Thought you'd like that.
Very nice.
All right, let's see. Ooh. So this is very much again, I apologize. I probably should have actually looked up who they were sending this to. It could have been H.G. Wells. I don't know if H.G. Wells was around at this time, but
well, I mean, chances are it's probably no Tiki, but
you're right. Okay.
But yeah. Well,
okay, so Dragon, so that was basically that Popology exhibit. Trust me, there was a lot more to it. If I wasn't stressed for time, I would have showcased a lot more.
I'm a sucker for a model of the DeLorean. I can't get enough of that car.
Richard's Victim says, I heard the actual Rocketeer helmet, jacket, or replicas. I'm genuinely not sure, Monkey.
Looking at it, I suspect these are mostly replicas, but I don't know. It's a museum, so I mean, there's a chance it could have. Let me this way: if they got the real, it's probably a stunt helmet. I don't think it's the original helmet.
How long ago was Back to the Future released?
Well, it was 85, so God, it's gonna be 95.
So 33 years ago ish, something like that. 38 years ago.
I'm trying to do the actual math. You keep throwing numbers at me.
Sorry. Oh yeah, this is
38.
38. Okay. All right. Versus Victims also says, I heard motorboats and I was summoned. I wonder if and when we'll get a Back to the Future reboot. Do not will that into existence, please, Code Geass. I would rather not have that.
Well, all we know is that if that were to happen, it's after Robert Zemeckis kicks the bucket. That's the only thing we know about that. So hopefully that won't happen.
Of course. Okay, next up, Dragon. I travel to the lower lobby. And there's a lot of cool shit in the lower lobby. The lower lobby is like by far the coolest part of the museum.
So is this the bottom? Okay, so this is the like essentially the third level of the building.
Essentially the basement.
Oh, so this is not like the entry point's the middle, and then you went up, which we just saw, and now you went down.
No. I didn't go up. The entry point is where the popology stuff is.
Okay, so we didn't go up yet then.
Yes, correct.
Okay,
I went
everything we just saw is upon entry level.
Yes.
And then you went downstairs.
Yes.
Which is here.
All right. Which is the next photo after.
Yeah, what that means, which is where we're going now.
Okay. So I get off the elevator, Dragon, and I see this. And that is a very striking image to get off the elevator on, man. I gotta tell you. Love that image.
My dream Spider-Man comic, which I have. I love that.
Also, you can kind of see it in the background, but down in this lower lobby, they were screening the Excelsior documentary. It was just like the last screening of the day had already gotten out, but that is cool that you can just go down there and watch that whole documentary in this museum.
The Disney Plus one, right?
Yes.
Right.
Okay, so all these portraits, I'm curious if you know this name, Rob Pryor. Does that name ring a bell to you at all?
God, Rob.
If not, it's totally fine. I was just curious.
No, that's the thing. Rob Pryor must be an artist. That's the thing. I don't really know his work.
Okay, well, this is, just obviously like a tribute to Stan Lee. I believe there's just these 3 portraits, but I got to tell you, man, this really got me into like, all right, pop art gallery mode. Like, I love this stuff. I thought this stuff made a really good first impression of this bottom gallery right here. I was really charmed by all this stuff. 3 very visually distinct portraits of Stan Lee showing off him and his characters. Really cool stuff, I thought.
Yeah.
But then, Dragon, we move into this is I'm just gonna flip to it. Yeah,
look at that. That's the first issue. That's first issue of Cap that Stan Lee wrote, if memory serves. I want to say, well, that's a graded comic, so that's 4.5. So that's
all of the comics that you're about to see are graded, so I can pretty much confirm that these are all like legit. So yeah.
Now, what I wonder is, did they get 2? Like, I assume like one of those is gray because it's slabbed and it's behind the plastic, but one of them is clearly open. So I'm going to guess they got 2, and one of them is just not graded, and that's the one that's open. So yeah, the Trader's Revenge for the kids out there. That was the first Marvel. That was the first true blue Marvel comic that Stan Lee wrote.
Nice.
He'd been intern up to that time, so his first story was writing, and he didn't create Captain America, but he wrote Captain America. He came up with the whole block of ice thing. That was Stan Lee, though. But up to that point, this is him working on Jack Kirby's baby.
So, Dragon, to sum it up, the whole lower level has a huge gallery just filled with first appearance issues.
Nice.
And it was fucking awesome. Okay. So if you don't mind, let's just I didn't take a picture of every single one of them, but I basically tried to find all of the ones that kind of like, speak to you and I specifically. So with that in mind, let's go through, see some of them. Of course, some more Captain America. I'm not exactly sure what this is supposed to represent as far as milestones go. I see that we have the Human Torch there. Of course, like I honestly, the reason I took a picture of this in particular was because of the swastika. I'm just really fascinated by like World War II anti-Nazi propaganda.
Well, two things to note here. The one on the top,
and
left,
I just want to emphasize that when I say like I took a picture of it because of the swastika,
out of context, that's gonna sound horrible.
Very anti-Nazi, folks. It's very anti-Nazi.
I don't think people heard that part, Tiki.
Oh God!
Let's zoom in on the swastika, Tiki.
Okay, so Monkey making a little Universal Hollywood joke. The lower lobby has Jurassic and Nintendo. Indeed.
Yeah, the two things about this, looking at both, honestly, look at the 8.0 and the 6.5 issues there. Well, I guess the cap one on the top left and the one down center. This is the thing that always drove me crazy. In the early Cap comics, they kept getting the shield colors wrong. It has like the blue on the outside layer and messes with like where the white is, and so that's all. But yeah, the main. I
also noticed that Captain America, like from what I could tell in this series or in this gallery, I mean, he appeared in a lot of different books. Is that accurate to say?
Well, again, a lot of this was during the wartime, Tiki. So basically, you're seeing down there is like that's essentially what your original Avenger. It was the Invaders. That's Cap, Submariner, and the Human Torch, the android Human Torch, and I believe I forget if his sidekick was named El Toro or not, but essentially not El Toro. Sorry, El Toro's Jackie Chan. Toro, the sidekick.
Toro, okay.
Toro.
I thought you said Del Toro, and I'm just picturing.
No. I said El Toro, but no, El Toro is El Toro Fuerte from Jackie Chan Adventure. But no, Toro, I believe the sidekick to the Human Torch, is like the smaller heel on fire, and the one with Bucky. And I'm always a little fuzzy on the one that's behind Submariner there, and the other one. But yeah, essentially that's the Invaders plus Invaders and some change, if you will.
Okay. All right, so Black Knight. I thought Black Knight was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And also Marvel Boy, as you can see.
Yep.
Let's see. Okay, I took a picture of this just because I really dig some of this like 60s, 70s sci-fi artwork from Marvel, man. It's something I really need to get more into.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
There we go.
4. Yeah.
The thing that built Marvel right there. That comic right there. Look at it, kids. Look, no, don't look away. Look at it right there. See that? Really made Stan Lee's career, that one.
All right. This is just more like cool, like pulp sci-fi stuff. The Man on the Anthill. This was a big one. This honestly might have been the most cool one to see in person, honestly.
Really?
Well, the reason is because like everyone knows about, like the Amazing Spider-Man first cover and stuff like that. Everyone knows the big boys, and people know this one, but I think this one is very striking. I love the Gray Hulk. So yeah, this was very cool to see in person.
Tiki, do you remember why the Hulk went from gray to green?
I assume it has something to do with like the inking process or something.
Yeah. It was easier to mass produce inking wise. If we made them green versus gray, because you always have like anyway.
Makes sense.
Why.
All right, moving on. There we go. There's the big one, man.
Oh yeah.
There's the legend.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Right.
There you go.
Like I said, I wasn't quite as stoked to see this one just because this one like permeates through pop culture so much, and I'm like, oh yeah, there it is.
You'll notice the best superheroes that have the first appearances when they're carrying a bad guy.
Right.
Or they're carrying. Well, the point is when they're carrying someone in kind of a swinging pose. Batman has it, Spider-Man has it. They're the best. To be fair, Superman's kind of carrying a car full of bad guys, so he also has it, but to a lesser degree.
So there were a couple Doctor Strange iterations, so I might need your help on some of the Doctor Strange stuff. Obviously, I took as much Doctor Strange stuff as I could for Gulliver, but I believe, because this was the first one in the gallery, so what I'm guessing, Dragon, is that this was like the first introduction to Strange, and it was probably in one of those like pulp sci-fi series or something like that.
That sounds right, because I know this image here of Doctor Strange, Master of Black Magic. This isn't a lot of the books with Stanley when they kind of talk about him taking on Doctor Strange. So it's an important issue. So I think it's a smart bet. That's probably the first Doctor Strange comic read. I think you're pretty on the money there. I don't think Doctor Strange started in his own book, but I I could be wrong about that. That he may have started his own book or he might not have, but you can tell it's early because of the whole black magic thing versus Sorcerer Supreme.
Sure.
And also, you can tell he's got like the cheetah gloves and everything. He doesn't quite have the cloak yet.
But I do love how literally from his very first panel, there's still like an emphasis on his hands.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Well, that's Tiki, the emphasis. That's them telling the origin of Doctor Strange.
Sure.
That's the thing. So it's like he's probably recapping the whole neurosurgeon thing. Those 3 panels there.
Uh-huh.
So those 3 panels, that's a whole movie. That's the reason Benedict Cumberbatch has a job.
All right, I keep skipping ahead to this one, so let's just rip the Band-Aid off. It's the
Avengers! Dun, 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 dun. Oh, it's great.
Yep. I also love how I didn't realize that Loki really was the first Avengers villain, too. That's a good.
And fun fact: when you rewatch the Avengers movie, you'll notice that Loki is using Hulk as a big plot point there. In the first Avengers comic, which is that, he essentially kind of brainwashed the Hulk. He basically misdirected the Hulk and that had him fight the Avengers, and that's how that first Avengers comic won. That's kind of what we have in the big scene in Avengers where. We have Loki and Hulk and the Hellcarrier, and the Hulk, kind of goes crazy on people. But he's kind of manipulated, but he's not mind controlled.
Right. Kogia says, I forgot how odd Iron Man's old costume
The gold suit never gets any love, and I
like the old suit, man. I would watch a full movie with the old suit.
My comic shop right now, behind the glass, they have a bunch of the gold suited Iron Man comics because no one really wants them, but they are cool, though.
I would buy one if it was like maybe $50 or less, maybe.
Maybe a little more than 50, but
that's probably about my price point that I'd spend on a comic. So I don't know.
Honestly, if you got during a sale, you'd probably be able to get that. But anyway, sale be like 25% off or something,
Yeah. All right, moving on.
Okay, now this one actually is my comic shop right now. The one on the left, that is the first.
Is it really?
Yeah, I think mine might be a higher grade, but it's. I mean, I didn't buy it. I'm just saying it's there. It's the first appearance of Hawkeye. Yeah. I'm gonna guess that might. I'm assuming that might be the first appearance of the Wasp on the right.
I'm guessing it's the first appearance of the Wasp. Yeah.
That is my presumption there.
I have another even more cool first Ant-Man character appearance coming up soon.
Ooh.
Another rather iconic one.
Yep.
And it's interesting to to look at the lineups of these early team issues. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like we got Angel in there. Like who the hell thinks about Angel anymore?
Because I'm always ticked off, and it's like it's always Archangel. Angel was pretty cool. Flying, what could he do? What the hell? He just flew in. He was I don't know. He was a member of the team. He could fly in. He could help out. It was an ensemble.
I also really appreciate that they're selling this as like basically like the next Fantastic Four.
Mm-hmm.
Dragon, I have always really, I don't think I've talked about this enough with you, but like, back in the day when I was reading through my little black and white collected copies of Spider-Man, I would always just love the the word bubbles that they would use to like hype up the issues. Like that would be like one of my favorite parts of reading Marvel comics. So that was definitely something I was kind of focused on, was like those big punchy taglines. All right, moving on. There's the Ant-Man one.
Yeah.
Yeah, first appearance of Giant Man. I thought that was
very nice.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. I like how they don't even like try and tease out like, hey, it's another character. It's like, no, it's just Ant-Man becomes Giant Man.
Let's just take a moment to appreciate the villain here, the Living Eraser.
I know. I noticed that too. Yeah.
Kind of a great meta foe.
Right. All right. Let's see. Now I knew you'd like this one.
Oh yes. Oh God.
Gorgeous Karen Page.
Yep.
Fun-loving Foggy Nelson.
See, this is a proper introduction of Daredevil. Look at this here. I mean, plus he's in the gold, he's in the golden and the red, and
You got some Spider-Man and Fantastic Four in there as well, just to show that he is part of the family.
Yeah, it's just wonderful, just nothing but wonderful. That's in the early Daredevil thing. That was very simple. That was the crime procedural years for Daredevil. It was very much like, okay, he's all the Marvel characters are going to come to him for legal help, and if he doesn't get justice in the courtroom, he's going to go
like
out.
The original Harvey Birdman attorney at law, Dragon.
I'm saying, man, every time you look at the end of the first season of Daredevil, when he jumps off that rooftop, it's a love letter to this first issue. It's like Daredevil, like the idea lawyer just jumps out the window. He's hoping there's a flagpole on the way down. That's right, Daredevil. Right. You know, it's like he'll just jump out the window, and the city will save him.
All right, up next. Okay, this was cool.
Yeah,
the first appearance of him, aka Dragon.
Go on, tell him.
Adam Warlock. Adam Warlock. Who it is? It's Adam Warlock. God. But yes, of course, the whole the power of him, like that grabbed me, Dragon. That grabbed me. That caught my attention before I even realized it was Adam Warlock. All right. Oh yeah, this was a big one. That was a big one for me.
And obviously, this is not the first appearance of the Silver Surfer. This is the first issue, though.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And we saw him in the Fantastic Four, but this is when we get. That's like he was just thrown into the Fantastic Four.
And I feel I feel like the Silver Surfer is like one of the seminal faces of 70s cosmic Marvel. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he and Doctor Strange are very much the poster boys for cosmic Marvel.
Sure.
And obviously, Fantastic Four too.
I've always been meaning to get into reading Silver Surfer because I've always been fascinated by the character.
Well, remember, Tiki, Silver Surfer. He was very big for the college students. They loved because he was all philosophical. Yeah,
right.
He's like that was his whole thing. There is this one story.
I'm still technically young enough to be a college student. I could still go back to community college.
Don't insult the old people at community college, Tiki. don't
Your
insult.
mom goes to college.
Anyway,
sorry.
Okay, look, there's one Silver Surfer comic you really got to read if you need like a one-shot sort of thing. You got to read Silver Surfer Parable.
Silver Surfer Parable. Okay.
Stanley came back to write that one. That's Stanley Parable. It's a Mobius did the art. I know what you're thinking, but yeah, there is an artist called Mobius.
Oh God. Oh no.
So yeah. Anyway.
All right. Up next, Green Goblin's first appearance.
And back when he was riding the weird broomstick.
I know, right? It's so weird.
Yeah.
Broomstick mixed with vaguely it looks vaguely machine gun-esque.
I can't. It was like they were going for a witch thing, and I forget goblins in their original thing they had kind of like.
And of course, this was long before they established Norman Osborn as the Goblin.
Yeah, I believe I forget if the mystery thing was in place during. I think the mystery thing was in place. I guess I'm wondering is if they knew Norman Osborn was going to be the Green Goblin, they introduced him or not.
As far as I remember, Dragon, I do not think they knew initially. As far as I remember.
Also, the other thing is probably mixing in there is so many animated shows keep going back and forth, and you have it's a 50-50 shot of who the Goblin is. It's going to be Norman or it's going to be Harry. Sometimes they switch it around, sometimes they don't. You look at Spectacular Spider-Man, you look at Spider-Man animated series, and it's anyway.
All right. This was a big one.
Oh yeah, I've seen
this
one.
Definitely if I had to pick a top 5 most cool first issues to see, this would probably be in the top 5.
I almost bought this one. So
really?
I believe I was going to, but then there was someone else bought it. That's the thing. Before I can get it during the sale. But the first appearance of Luke Cage. Oh, it's a thing of beauty.
I mean, I will never forget. I'm sure I told this story before when we were talking through the Nick Cage show, but I will never forget Again, going back
the
to
Nick Cage show.
No, well, yeah, the Nick Cage Netflix series. Yes.
Tiki, you keep saying Nick Cage.
Oh, Jesus Christ! I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Thank you for catching me on that.
That's. Yeah, let's just do a reboot of Luke Cage. We're just gonna cast Nick Cage.
I'm Nick Cage. I'm Nick Cage. All right.
Well, yes, I'm bulletproof and I live in Harlem. Nick, do you see anything wrong with this? Oh, whatever do you mean? I'm
okay, so going back to the black and white essential Spider-Man collections.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I will never forget the first time I saw Luke Cage, and it was just like, "Watch out, Spidey! Here comes Luke Cage, hero for hire." And I think Luke Cage was like just straight up attacking Spider-Man, saying like something like, "You're going down, sucker." I was like, oh my god, that's the coolest shit in the world. So yeah, Luke Cage is always kind of a character that's left an impression on me from the first time I saw him in comics. So
I still love
definitely a cool thing to see.
I know we make fun of it in the Netflix show, obviously, but I love the fact that it's there. But still, I love his original costume so much. It's just it's great.
I really do too, and frankly, I think that Netflix, if they really wanted to, they could have found a way to legitimize it, honestly.
I mean, we got it in there, period.
Yeah.
Look, I knew there was. Well, here's the thing, because Luke Cage does have those two definitive looks, and they added a really big spoke to the wheel, but the hoodie was not really something in the comics. That was something they added to the Netflix.
The hoodie was a really good, Mike Coulter signature.
That's the thing. The hoodie was a really good idea, because very symbolic, and also the idea of, the bullet-ridden hood and how it became a symbol in that season towards the right. Ultimately. So all of that. The hoodie was a really good, but I think the best part about the hoodie when it's selected perfectly is if he's wearing the yellow shirt and he has the yellow inside of the hood. I think that looks perfect. That's okay. You got a little bit of the yellow in there. And
I hear you.
That to me is okay. That's more doing Luke Cage just right perfectly right there. Yeah.
All right. Well, as you can tell, I took a lot of pictures of these issues. I think we're almost done with this gallery. I know there's a few more. Okay, so this. I'm not sure on this one, Dragon. I'm honestly, again, I was just kind of getting as much strange stuff as I could for Gulliver. You mentioned that he didn't have his own comic for a long time. So is this maybe the first Doctor Strange issue, perhaps?
Well, the number's a little small. I don't know if it says 1 or 3.
It is a 1.
Okay, so that's what it did look kind of this might be. Something tells me
that, or it's maybe just a new Doctor Strange series or something like that.
Well, that's the thing. It feels this is. If you look at this here, this isn't this isn't Ditko's Doctor Strange. This is the later version of it. This is. I mean, look at the price tag. That kind of tells you we're at 25 cents. So it's. He's got the cloak and everything. I think this is back when Doctor Strange probably had a series before this, but I don't know. This is the first time we gave him a name series. Otherwise, he would have been popping up in other things up to this point. I can't really speak with authority on Doctor Strange, but I can just tell by the name Master of the Mystic Arts. This is where we're kind of fleshing out the name and everything. So this is probably early on, a series that we gave him, or at least a regular series. It looks 70s to early 80s in look. That's kind of what I'm getting here. I'm going to say I'm going to say mid 70s.
All right.
Okay. Welcome to the American Heritage Auction, kids.
So this was a big one.
Yeah.
Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Again, Dragon, I love how this cover just screams crime espionage, right?
Mm-hmm.
It looks like an old school Mission Impossible poster or something. Not the Tom Cruise movies, but if the series. Mission Impossible TV show were to have a poster, it'd probably look something like this.
Yeah.
All right.
Now we have comments, by the way. Are you seeing any of these? Or you want me to read these?
Let me take a look. I've been trying to. Hey, Alex, how you doing? Nice to see you. All right. Also, New Horizons Music we have a unique. Oh dear God. Okay. Evan, message me on Facebook. That's all I can say. If you have a proposal, message me on Facebook, please. Don't derail my podcast. I love you guys, but And yes, I would be happy to go on more poo talk, but please don't derail my podcast in the process. Message me on Facebook. I would appreciate that. All right. Okay, so She-Hulk, Dragon. She-Hulk.
Yeah, look at that savage She-Hulk cover. Yeah, look at that duality on the page. Look, there's two of them right there. Big one, little
Guys, I will
right
check
there.
out WDW Magic as soon as I am done with this. Don't worry. All right. Yes, She-Hulk. Yeah, certainly a lot cooler than anything from the TV show.
Hey, episode 8.
I'm sorry.
I don't care what you say about.
Actually finish the TV show, so I don't know either way.
Look, I don't care what you say about that show, but episode 8's wonderful in that show.
All right. I think this is close to the end. This obviously is super cool because just look how fucking different this crew looks, Dragon.
It's a little hard to he's given the reflection here. I believe that's Yondu on the far right.
I'm pretty sure that's Yondu, yeah.
Yeah.
If I were to guess, I would say the guy in the yellow suit, I would guess is Star-Lord.
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
I'm fairly certain that's not Star-Lord because I don't think he was the. That thing, he wasn't the original.
I feel like most of the Guardians that we know from the movies were not in the original lineup, right?
Well, yeah, that's the thing. The Guardians has had a ever-changing roster, so the original Yondu wasn't original.
It's super interesting to see this, where it's like, okay, there's a guy with a bow and arrow. I kind of assume he's Yondu. Other than that, I really don't know. Well, the purple guy looks vaguely like a muscular Grimace.
Vaguely like a muscular Grimace.
Is it muscular Grimace, Dragon? Did Marvel ever have a muscular Grimace? I'm kidding, of course. I know
okay, look. From these guys, I think the smart money is, and I can't say with autonomy, but if you look at the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, when we have Stallone and company, a lot of their crew was the original Guardians of the Galaxy team. So I don't know if the guy in the yellow is supposed to be the Stallone character, is the Starvox.
Oh, okay, that would make sense.
I believe, again, it's hard to tell because of the glare, but I think the crystal-looking guy
and
next
the glare is just something I kind of had to deal with some of these, depending on where the light was. I apologize for that.
No, I can't really. It looks like the crystal-looking guy is the Michael Rosenbaum character from the Guardians, from Guardians 2 and 3. I believe that's who that's supposed to be. In the purple, I'm a little blind. Blanket on the purple guy. I don't know if the purple guy's supposed to be Starbucks or the yellow guy's supposed to be Star Fox. But
oh god, do you think they're ever actually going to do anything with Harry Styles, Dragon?
Well, no, that's a different character. Yeah, I could have sworn. I think Starvox with a. God, I'm blanking here.
I could have sworn it was Harry Styles.
Well, I'm trying to remember there's so many Star names. Okay, because there's Star-Lord.
And of course, Star Fox is also a fucking Nintendo franchise.
Yeah, I know. That's why I got to be careful with how I say it.
Right. Do a barrel roll.
Yeah, anyway, so...
I'm sorry, that was a painfully forced reference. I would like to apologize.
No, Star Fox is the Harry Styles character. It's another Star Fox. It's literally the Harry Styles character. Now,
okay.
So Vox, on the other hand, I'm trying to remember I'm going to look that up real quick.
Okay. Well, as you do that, let's move on. Okay, so again, I'm sorry, Dragon. I feel like I probably took too many Doctor Strange photos, but again, we obviously have a good friend who's very into Doctor Strange, so this was more for him than anything else. I genuinely don't really know what this entails.
Starhawk.
Starhawk, there we go.
That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of... Okay, so, but yeah, Tiki was right. So, well, he's kind of right. Star Fox is literally the Harry Styles character. Anyway.
So, judging by the price tag, this looks like it might be older than the last Doctor Strange issue we saw.
Yeah, that's the thing.
It's down to 12 cents.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's down to 12 cents. It does look older, and we are getting the Master of Mystic art title here. So I don't know. It might have been like I don't know if it was them starting from. I don't know. Looks good though.
Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos. This is really
likely
cool.
That's probably the first appearance of Fury.
I would like to think so, yeah. And again, obviously, the whole the other one we saw was more so the post-war Fury and his standalone espionage series, whereas this was very much like Nick Fury during the World War II propaganda days.
Right.
And as you know, Dragon, I love me some World War II propaganda. It's one of my most, for me, it's one of the most interesting time periods in pop culture. So,
okay, Monkey
7 against the Nazis. I love that. I fucking love that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, tell me that's not something that's not like, again, if the last image was Mission Impossible for Nick Fury, this is very much Inglourious Bastards.
I mean, pretty much.
Love the dumb Dugan prominently on the right there too.
Yeah, look at that hat and mustache. Yeah, so bye bourbon. So Monkey,
I would like to think that he right now is throwing like a bourbon Molotov cocktail.
I can dream.
God.
So, Monkey in the comments says the purple guy's Vance Astra. Now the yellow suit, yeah, that's a good.
How the hell do you know that, Monkey?
Well, he looked it up. So Charlie 27, that's a good. That was he did. I was right. He was one of the crew, but yeah. So Ving Rhames apparently. So Ving Rhames' character who was wearing the yellow suit in Guard at the end of Guardians 2. He's that's Charlie 27.
Got it.
And I was right about the silver. So apparently the silver guy is the Michael Rosenbaum character.
Okay, cool.
Okay, anyway,
all right. I think we're getting near the end of these first appearances.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Okay, of course I had to have the first Iron Man Dragon. Of course I had to have that.
You want to hear a fun story?
What?
I was at my comic shop, and they had the first appearance of Iron Man, but here's the catch. Apparently, back in the 60s or something, some kid like cut out, like with an X-Acto knife or something, basically cut out Iron Man on the cover, like literally right under the Iron Man. He lives, he walks, he conquers, right? That little basic, almost as if you were making like a paper action figure.
Oh my god, dude!
So that's why the comic was there, and so it's like sometimes they'll sell the damaged comics at a really reduced price, but still it was still fetching quite a hefty payday because it was the original comic, but it just feels like wow, it's like I can't believe they're going to sell that, but still it's the fact that some kid just like I'm going to cut out the Iron Man from the front of this comic, which I guess was the mentality back when the comics were cheap as the paper they were printed on.
Right. Okay.
But yeah.
Oh, here we go. Okay, that was the end. And I'm terribly sorry about the glare here, Dragon. Trust me, I was trying to do something about it, but I limited time.
Yeah, call the zoom button, but okay.
But as you can see, all the Stan Lee pop figures from over the years.
Yeah, I'm looking at them now. There you got that one on the left. That's the great one right there. It's the Watcher Stan Lee, the Watcher Informant Stan Lee. You got the looks like the bronze statue. That's it looks like it's him dressed as Forbush Man, which I have the colored version of that, and then you have the barber from Thor Ragnarok. Yeah,
and more comics. What do you know?
Well, Journey in the Mystery.
Again, I took this more so just because I really like the cover.
Mm-hmm.
All right, same deal. Just really like the cover here.
Someone tells me that Strange might have appeared in Strange Tales. I can't really.
Do you know anything about this?
Okay, let's see. Captain America: Riddle of the Living Dolls.
Looks like it's Captain America number 68, according to that little page.
Well, this must be the original art for the cover. That's probably why it's hanging on the wall like that. So that's probably. I mean, if it says, I wonder if presumably it's a Jack Kirby cover, but it looks a little unique. I don't know.
The full body pic looks like Iron Man's doing a rap battle diss track. Oh god. All right. Okay, more Captain America stuff. I think this is really
that's the picture from earlier, Tiki.
I apologize. I know there's more new stuff. Hold on.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. This is the third level, Dragon. This is the third level. I apologize.
Wait, so you mean this is the top level?
Yes, this is the top level. Yes. So the top level, like I said, is it is another like rotating gallery space, but whereas the upper lobby, so the lobby that you walk into is more so like, like proper like pop culture museum where you have like artifacts and stuff like that. This is more so like a traditional art gallery space. So what you're going to see up here, like I said, there's a lot of Neil Gaiman art, some Cowboy Bebop art. we don't have to spend a ton of time on it. We're by all means, we're not going to have to like gawk at like the historical value here. But one thing I can say though, Dragon, about this museum, of course, with that gallery, trust me, I did not show you everything. There was a lot more. There were a lot more first issues.
I just want to know one thing.
Okay.
I just want to know one thing. Was there any Batman? Was there any DC stuff? Did you?
No, the thing with that gallery in particular is it was all Marvel. So I'm sure there was probably some DC stuff in that Popology exhibit, but no, in the lower lobby it was all Marvel. Anyways, so one thing that I was actually a little bit let down by with this place is that, honestly, when I first heard about the concept of the museum, I thought that cosplay would be like a major, major focus of it. Like, wouldn't you think so?
Well, that's the thing, Tiki. This museum, so it's supposed to be a Comic Con museum, right?
Yeah, no, okay, Dragon, what you're about to ask, I had a similar kind of, by and large, it's a cool space for sure. I wouldn't necessarily call this a San Diego Comic Con museum. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's given the logo.
I agree with you. It is rather confusing branding.
Yeah, because you walk in, it's like, that's the San Diego Comic Con logo.
I feel like it should be like, obviously, I feel like they're using the Comic Con thing as a way to like tie the comic industry into San Diego itself. I feel like a more proper title for this place would probably be like the San Diego like pop art museum or something like that. You know what I mean? Or something like that. But no, I mean, honestly, like the entrance that you saw where it's like, you know, like the two pillars or whatever with the signs on it, that is the closest you get to like, you know, kind of like a recreation of Comic-Con. So here, like, this isn't even cosplay. This is just like a collection. This is a personal collection of old Halloween masks here. And it is the closest thing we get to any sort of cosplay display.
I mean, cosplay's not... I mean, look, in the old days, Comic-Con, cosplay was probably a very rare thing. But, I mean, it's kind of, how do you put that in a museum? Like, you know, it's people dressing up in costumes versus, like...
Well, you would know more about this than I do, but I assume there's, like, probably like a series of like cosplay, for lack of a better word. I fucking hate to use this word, but it's the most appropriate word that I can think of right now. I'm sure there's cosplay influencers out there, right?
Well, I mean, I think there are professional cosplayers, but these are mostly people that are like kind of advertising and essentially are influencers, essentially. You know, so I mean that's what I'm saying. It's a modern advent, though. I mean, it's kind of. I mean, people have done like a business of it, but that's still like it's a fandom thing. I don't know.
So I'm curious, Dragon. If you were to design a Comic-Con museum, like what that you haven't seen here would you want to see?
Well, okay, let's see. Well, definitely we have like a bit of the art gallery going on there, which we want. I think we'd probably hang up. I don't know how much this just you didn't photograph or not, but did we have like more original like comic art like hung on the walls, like like that Captain America thing?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, there was a bunch of that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, that, I mean, I probably would have gone for a little bit more.
I feel like there should have been more photos of, like, you know what I really feel like there should have been, and from what I could tell, there wasn't. I feel like there should have been at least, like, a wall or something that had, like, a timeline of the evolution of Comic-Con.
Yeah, that's the thing. I kind of want someone to kind of acknowledge, like, the hotel years of the Comic-Con.
Right.
I would.
And I'm sure there's something in here that acknowledges that. I'm sure of it, but it's not very prominent.
Mm-hmm.
But okay. Oh my God, Dragon! You know what my favorite mask on this first wall is?
What?
I love the fucking horrifying Cinderella in the bottom, like, right-hand corner there. Isn't that a horrifying Cinderella mask?
Yeah, these masks are kind of crap, honestly. It's like, no, really.
You got to remember, Drake, these were like 1950s masks. You know what I mean?
Oh, right. Well,
Reserve 1950s masks.
Like they say, these are from the 50s.
Yes. Or 60s, maybe. I do love that.
Okay, now those are Ben Cooper. Most of those are Ben Cooper mask.
Okay. All right. Okay, so like I said, the next few pictures are just kind of art gallery stuff. We can kind of breeze through it a little bit. We have a whole bunch of Cowboy Bebop. I believe it was the 30th anniversary. I want to say either 30th or 25th. I don't quite remember.
There's something going on with Bebop recently.
Maybe, is there a sign that says... Oh, fuck.
I'm loving these posters, though. Go back one.
No, these posters are rather awesome, aren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, I am a very casual Cowboy Bebop fan. Like, I caught it on occasion when it was on Adult Swim. I really like the characters. I really like the vibe. I've never actually sat down and watched the whole thing from beginning to end. I should do that at some point.
Yeah, I did.
Because it's relatively short, right? Like, it's only like 16 episodes or something like that.
That's the thing. I forget if it's between. I forget if at most it's 26, but it might be under that. It's either 18 or 26.
But yeah, even for me as like a very casual fan of this series, mostly just growing up with it, occasionally airing on Adult Swim and having nostalgia of it that way, this was really cool to see. I mean, that artwork just pops, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, literally. I mean, look at that. It's it reminds me of the Mondo art. The two that are stacked on the right there. Like those are like Mondo. They do a lot of the Batman the Animated Series art and the awesome figures and stuff that aren't Hot Toys. So they, it looks a little reminiscent of that. It's good.
I can see that. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Captain America versus Chucky? Wait, where was Captain America versus Chucky?
Well, no, the Living Doll art, Tiki.
The Living Doll.
Cat versus the Living Doll, a.k.a. Chucky.
Because that would be one hell of a crossover, man.
Chucky's in great prominence right now. I would love to see Cap wipe the floor with Chucky, because that doll freaks me out. It'd be like one icon taking on like a haunter of nightmares.
Well, you know what the more realistic crossover with Chucky is, that I'm sure is probably going to actually happen, is Chucky versus Megan.
Yeah, actually, there's been serious talks about that. Mancini has suggested that it's going to happen.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm terribly sorry, Dragon. Did I say Megan? I'm so sorry. I meant Mithrigan. I'm so sorry. Anyways. All right. I gotta say this Japanese poster right there next to that bathroom sign. I had my eye on.
Very unfortunate placement at the end of the day, though.
It's not great placement, but isn't that an awesome poster, though? Isn't that just an awesome piece of art?
Well, yeah, it's great. I still like the Mondo looking one from the slide before, but that's still great, though.
Honestly, that art kind of like vaguely has like a Yellow Submarine vibe to it, especially the scale of Spike compared to the backgrounds.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And I believe the rest of this stuff is Neil Gaiman stuff. No, a little bit more Cowboy Bebop. Okay, there we go. 25th anniversary. All right. Cowboy Bebop. Okay, here we go, Dragon. Here we go. Here's the Neil Gaiman stuff. So as you can see, that's the show.
Yeah, there's Good Omens top left there.
And
the bottom, I guess, top left.
I think it's all Good Omens, I want to say.
Well, stuff on the left for sure. I mean, I don't maybe this, I can't.
Can you see that Facebook window?
Yes, I can see the Facebook window.
Sorry. Fucking don't message me on Facebook. Evan, you literally know that I'm doing a show right now.
Tiki, you earlier said message me on Facebook.
Fuck, you're right. I did.
Yeah,
I did. You're absolutely
maybe say, hey, just hold off until I'm off the podcast, guys. Cut through all of that. Now here we are. So anyways.
To be fair, I think that was actually Garrett. All right. Anyways, okay. So we get some good Sandman stuff.
Yeah.
Of course, naturally with Neil Gaiman, there's quite a bit of Sandman stuff. Whole wall of it.
Look how nice that looks. This little thing on the wall.
We've never covered this, but I just thought this was really cool. I believe what this is, I don't think it's actually like a series that he did. I believe this is just like a series of like watercolor, like medieval posters that he made, like just in his own time as like a piece of art. So I thought that was really cool. There's actually a video playing in this specific room with this medieval art That's just Neil Gaiman doing a very pleasant, very British tutorial on watercolors. Doesn't that sound nice?
It does sound rather nice, actually.
Just Neil Gaiman just talking to you about watercolors.
Oh, it just sounds kind of like an erudite version of Bob Ross.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Okay, this is the last gallery, Dragon. This is also upstairs. So essentially this is kind of like the evolution of comic art. So obviously, as you can tell, this is the big dot color era. So it's kind of showcasing like, you know, the inks and the pens and the paintbrushes and the brick and mortar of it all.
Mm-hmm.
But then you go into the color keys, things get a little bit more sophisticated. It's really cool to see all these panels kind of like in their half finished forms too.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course you go into like stuff like this in the 90s. You go into the McFarlanes and the light felts of it all. I believe this is actually back in it says 82. So I apologize that some of these aren't necessarily in chronological order. I apologize for that.
The death of Captain Marvel. That's a big one. That's
Captain
Marvel. I believe, if I recall, he died of it was cancer, leukemia, or something. He had a very natural death after sacrificing himself to save the day, and everyone was feeling really sad about it. Like, oh man, our that's the thing everyone forgets. Like, oh, it's always like, you know, Carol Danvers, Carol Danvers. No, the original Captain Marvel had a very tragic death in the comics.
You know what that kind of reminds me of?
What?
Kind of reminds me of Toonami, how the original Tom got killed off in a pretty brutal fashion.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
I don't remember how he died, but I do remember
it was fucking brutal, Dragon. Basically, he was like, there was like some sort of like alien menace that had invaded the ship, and he was like running from it. And the alien was like this, like it took the form of like a metallic liquid or something, like some Terminator shit. And like Tom like opens like an elevator door or something, and the liquid just comes rushing into the elevator that he's in, and literally just like fucking just disintegrates him. And
wow, I knew he was
it's
running
shocking, Dragon. Like, look it up. I watched a video of it for Halloween. Look it up.
I knew. See, he's saying I knew that like he was running from something. I didn't know. I thought we ended on a cliffhanger. I didn't know we actually.
No. You literally see him die like on screen with like the horrified scream and everything.
Oh wow.
But it's okay because Tom too, right?
Wait, are you saying like did he come back, or is it just like he's
just Tom 2 is an entirely different android.
Oh.
And I gotta tell you, I've always preferred Tom 2. I just like the design more. Like, because Tom 1 was more cute, but he didn't really like fit the vibe of Toonami the same way that Tom 2 did, for me at least. Like, he had the little pot belly. I don't know. I feel like he was a little
well, the point being, we didn't kill Tom 2 though, right?
No, I believe Tom 2 is still kicking on Adult Swim to this day.
Okay, thank goodness. All right.
Yeah. All right. Little diversion there.
Well, not Adult Swim, at least not yet.
So then we're getting into like kind of like, you know, the more bold colors, sort of more heavy-handed subject matter, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you know, we get into the more experimental stuff. All the way up to stuff like this.
Yeah, a lot of Spawn.
Indeed. Oh. That was the last picture I took of the museum. And after I got out of the museum, Dragon, I went to Xanadu.
Xanadu.
Right. But seriously, how cool is it that you can just walk right up to this?
Yeah, right up in Orson Welles' house.
There's literally a museum in here.
Yep.
Yeah. So I got to tell you, Dragon, we actually the last thing that we did on the trip before the day that we flew home was we saw a show at the Old Globe Theater, and the Old Globe Theater is literally right next to the Xanadu Tower, and I got to tell you, man, it felt so fucking poetic and full circle that the end of the trip ended up being right next to the Xanadu Tower. I don't know. There's just something about that really, really, gave me kind of like the warm, fuzzy feelings. You know what I mean? All right. So, yeah, Dragon, that was about it. Let me pull this back up. Any final thoughts?
I mean, it looks cool. Again, I think as we kind of realize, like, man, there's not like a whole lot of Comic Con in there specifically, but it's cool. Yeah, it's got a lot of pop culture stuff in it.
Yeah, again, I feel like this entryway is like the closest thing you have to like, oh, it kind of feels like I'm actually there.
Yeah.
I will say, Dragon, I did drive by the convention center a couple times, and I just got like secondhand anxiety of like, oh man, like it's almost like I felt the energy of July, right? Like it's like, okay, this place is quiet now, but in July I could only imagine.
See, you're looking at it. I think you're looking at that all wrong. You're looking at that as like, oh, the dread. I'm looking at it as like, oh boy, if you were there, it'd be like that scene from Wreck-It Ralph 2, where you had like all the Disney stuff lined
like,
up.
Like this is where the magic happens.
Yeah, like yes, like Nirvana. Like, oh my god.
Nah, I wasn't quite like that, Dragon. I was just like, thank God I'm not here during Comic-Con. That was more my attitude. All right. Well, with that in mind, folks, thank you so much for regaling me. Well, I guess I regaled.
Yeah, you regaled us.
Okay, well, thank you so much for indulging me in this little side quest that we went on here in Balboa Park. I had a lot of fun. It was overall a great trip. Manta at SeaWorld San Diego was a big surprise. That thing is a fucking airtime machine. It seriously feels like a mini Velocicoaster. Surprised the hell out of me. All right, well, I would like to thank Monkey, Code Geass, Richard's Victims, kind of brief cameo by Richard's Victims, but that's okay. And I guess Alex Gahan and New Horizons Music, although I don't know. I'm just gonna have to see what they want.
Wait, did you mention Little Blue?
And Little Blue. And Keeper Colby apparently also popped up for like one message. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, y'all have a good night. See y'all later. Our regular programming. Well, no, I mean, I guess I should give a shout out to you and Jacob Weil for actually keeping up with the regular programming while I was gone, Dragon. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But I will be back starting Sunday with movie memoirs. All right. Have a good night, folks. See y'all later. I'm Nick Cage! I'm Nick Cage!